Sure. Well, firstly, anxiety is like the #1 topic on planet Earth. I mean, goodness knows, no surprises with Donald Trump, Brexit, Kim Jong-un, and, English football team about to face Colombia later today. No wonder people feel anxious. With this, we are going to focus on the core elements, everything that I've learned about working with anxiety-related conditions. So I will literally empty my head and take any questions and give you all the things that I find work best. Not only standard things like, people have standard therapeutic anxiety conditions, but also where people lack confidence, have got apprehension. We'll talk about sort of business context. We'll talk about sports context. I'm working tomorrow with another top sports person who is fantastic in trainings, but doesn't produce when he's in the ring fighting. So, we're going to look at real life applications. Essentially, we're looking at what resolves anxiety and how you resolve anxiety with people and how you do it in a way which is tangible and there's evidence for change in that respect. So we're looking at the process of what changes what. Part of that will be the sequences of how people think that create how people feel, that determine the behaviors. You don't need to be an anxious person to come to the workshop, So there's not a prerequisite. But I probably, with PCW, done around about 8,000 clinical hours with anxiety-related conditions across 13 different countries, from age 8 to age 88. So I've got a lot of data. Some of this will be things I've covered before to some degree in trainings, but mostly in the UK, this is going to be brand new stuff. And we're going to talk about, okay, what's the nature of anxiety? How do people create it? What are the fastest, simplest, long-standing ways of resolving it for people so they notice a difference? We're going to stay out of lots of analysis and content and really go to the heart of what makes a difference.
Good. And I suppose, with the amount of kind of flight hours dealing with anxiety, you've got a lot to share in that respect.
Yeah, but also let's think that anxiety always requires a few things. It requires anticipation. To have anticipation, you have to have a particular way of thinking. So as those who have looked at the PCW, even on a surface level, know there's fundamentally 4 ways of thinking. What I see or hear externally, what I picture, or what I think to myself internally. That creates the feeling state, which mostly people will describe, an anxiety state is a feeling state, which then determines the behavior of what happens next. So also, is the anxiety appropriate for the situation? Because you need to do a proper check to see, okay, if, a horde of Kalashnikov wielding crazies invade the training room, we're not all going to go, hey, let's get a photo of these guys for Facebook. We'll react appropriately for our own personal preservation. So there needs to be the context of what's there as well. But mostly we're looking at the precision of what does what. What makes it better? What makes it worse? What's the fastest effective way of working with resolving things for people? I can draw upon my years of working as an NLP trainer, or previous to that, 10 years of working in personal development, but mostly I'm going to be looking at the PCW way of working, a lot of Frank Farrelly's work that I trained with for like over a decade, of how he worked with people and what works. Really, we're interested in what works. What's the evidence for what works? The theory is great. The proof is somebody gives a practitioner or a therapist a client who's got problem X, will give them to you for an hour. What can you do? What does the client report back that's different? That's the proof of what makes a difference. So it's going to be fun. I mean, but I am going to expect people to be thinking, working, and really going into depth. We don't call it a masterclass for nothing. Frank Farrelly would probably kill me if he heard me calling anything a masterclass in one day. But, we use the language to connect with people, and it's going to be an in-depth day. We're going to be going at some speed, but we're going to stay on course to what really is the core elements that make the difference.